Yeah, I saw the opening.
You can.
That's cool. I never seen him. That's pretty cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, would everyone please stand for the pledge? At this time, I'd like to introduce Joseph Sylvester. Joe Sylvester has served the United States Army on active and reserve duty for over 43 years, achieving the rank of E8. He has 1,000 parachute jumps and is credited as a member of the 22 military organizations. Joe is the Grand Marshal of this year's Armed Forces Parade in downtown Scranton, which is absolutely well-deserved. Joe, would you like to step over to the podium?
Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would everyone still please remain standing? Joe, thank you for your service. I'd like to have a moment of silence for Corporal Gene Cole, Deputy Sheriff from Maine, Police Officer Jesus Cordova of Arizona, and Police Officer Raul Bernstein of Artstein of Texas, that lost their lives in the line of duty. Also yesterday, we had a National Guard plane aircraft go down and 9 servicemen lost their lives. Their names have not been put out into the news yet, so we'd like to keep them in our thoughts and our prayers. Also, I'd like to have a moment of silence and prayer for Sister Angela Miller, who was in a horrible, devastating fire on Washburn Street this past weekend, and they're still looking for her, and hopefully they will find her and bring her home to her family. This was a devastating loss to the West Scranton community, not only Angela, but her sister also. I'd like to have a moment of silence for all that lost their lives. Keep them in their thoughts and prayers and their families. Thank you. I'd like to bring this Thursday, May 3rd, 2018 Board of Commissioners meeting to order at 10 a.m. in the Commissioners Conference Room. I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. At this time, we're going to go into proclamation presentations. Like for Joe Sylvester, anyone else here from the Armed Forces Parade today? Anyone else? Okay, come on up to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Sylvester has been the front man of the Armed Forces Parade for as long as I can remember and as long as I've been commissioner. And he's done a tremendous job. And his life every single day is about veterans and our servicemen and women. They're always in his thoughts, they're always in his prayers, and it's his life. It really is. And it should be part of all of our lives, because we wouldn't be here today without our servicemen and servicewomen. I'd like to ask Tom Munley to come up and just say a few words about our good friend Joe Sylvester.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Malley, and Commissioner Cummings, Commissioner Terriani. Before I talk about Joe Sylvester, I want to talk about how much the three of you help us with the veterans, no matter what Joe, and you know this, no matter what we have, if we call Commissioner Terriani, Commissioner O'Malley, Commissioner Cummings, they're always there with us, and we really appreciate that. It means a lot to us. I want to say something about Joe Sylvester that's amazing. Joe and I have been friends for a long, long, long time. And years ago when nobody really, like 20 some years ago, nobody really cared that much about helping the vets. But Joe Sylvester was always there for me. He'd always help me. Sometimes it would just be two of us, Joe, in a group. Nobody else wanted to get involved. But Joe Sylvester persevered and never gave up, and he wanted to always continue. He said, someday people are going to recognize the veterans.
So they can get the picture.
Yeah. Someday people are going to recognize the veterans and recognize...
Get you all in the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so then the NEC TV, because we want to make sure that Joe gets a lot of people out for our...
Oh, yeah,
Everybody
come
come
on.
over this side.
Yeah,
A big day coming
Yeah.
up.
By Tom.
yeah. All right, go on. No problem.
Sorry, Judge.
That's all right. But I just want to say that about Joe Sylvester. When nobody was interested in helping vets, Joe Sylvester, I spent 40-some years trying to help veterans. Joe Sylvester was with me. Every time I called him, he's there. And he used to say, let's go the extra mile. Let's do this for them. Let's do that for them. And to have Joe Sylvester now as the parade, to be honored at the parade, Joe, that means a lot to me, because I know a lot of times you would walk in the parade and people would recognize you, but this, you're getting special recognition. And Joe, you deserve it.
I don't have to walk.
You don't have to walk. Thanks a lot, Joe. Well, Gary DeBillio's driving me, so I don't have to worry either. But anyway, but Joe Sylvester, I'm very proud of you. You know, to even know you is an honor for me for what you do for the vets. And I want to say this, folks. Joe Sylvester I'm only in a couple organizations, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5. Joe Sylvester's in 20, how many?
Well, there's only 12 now.
Only 12. I'm sorry, Joe. There was 20-some. He's down to 12. He's getting old, folks.
Well, they went out.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much, Joe Sylvester, and thanks for being part of Lackawanna County. That's everything to us. Thank you. And by the way, my wife Jodine came to see this for Joe Sylvester. See where? Oh, there she is, right there. Yeah.
Thank God. Commissioner Cummings.
Well, how much more can I say after that wonderful presentation by Judge Munley? Thank you so much, and thank you for being here and for all that you do. We're proud to recognize you and all of our veterans, and so happy to be here to be able to do that. Thank you.
Commissioner Terriani.
Joe, I've known you a long, long time. Too long, actually. Makes us getting a little old, but and you've always done a great job, and you've always been a good person, a good friend, and thanks for all you do, and I appreciate it, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big day. Joe should have been the Grand Marshal for the last 5 years. He's always pushed this parade, pushed for people to come out, and it's evolved. And there's a lot of partners involved this year. The Ronald McDonald House, there's numerous ones. That's why we're making sure that for the next 2 meetings that we're going to be talking about the parade, and we're going to be talking about Jimmy Reddington, which is a little further down the road. But the parade is huge for the people of Lackawanna County. The sacrifice, the loss, families coming together, families crying because they lost loved ones. Those who didn't come back, those who just wanted to come back and give their mother a hug, that never did because they sacrificed their lives for this country. Joe represents all of those people in one, and he always has. Whether this was a small committee for the parade or the big committee there is this year, he's always been there. And the luncheon is back too. And I'm going to have Mr. Bradshaw get up and say a few words about that in a second. But it's all back. And Joe is the Grand Marshal of this parade. Joe, congratulations. More than deserving. You're the best. Mr. Bradshaw, would you like to get up and say a few words about the parade? Because I know we have some of our new partners. We're starting off the parade this year with a 5K race, which is going to be a great draw. So please, citizens, come on down and let's acknowledge and honor all of our servicemen and women.
I know Joe's a good guy too, so
Yeah.
he is a good guy. And the Armed Forces Parade is a full day of events this year. I mean, Tobyhanna is bringing down over 20+ vehicles. It's going to be a fantastic day. Tons of statics, right? beautiful. They're bringing out so much stuff for that. We're going to kick it off with the Show Your Stripes 5K. And I always say the stripes always represent the service and the sacrifice of our community to make all of this happen. So we're going to have a really great race. We have hundreds of people registered already. We're expecting more and more to come out as we get this warm weather continues. But at the same time, it's going to move right after the 5K. It's going to move right into an awesome parade and a full day of events. We're asking the whole community to come out and support this, and we appreciate everybody who's made this possible. So thank you.
What about the luncheon?
The luncheon, actually, the luncheon's going to be great. Now that's going to be. Would somebody like to speak on the luncheon?
About the
here?
luncheon?
Why don't you speak to the luncheon?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Very good.
Yeah, the luncheon is taking place the Thursday prior, the 17th of May.
Who do they contact if they'd like to come out for the luncheon? Because we want a lot of people there.
Yeah, Erica Koresha on all the media, whether it be social media, the printed media that's out there, there should be contacts on there to where to email to get tickets for the
Is
luncheon.
your phone number?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. What's the phone number?
It's 570-615-7308, and I'll be the one answering that line. If not,
Wonderful.
somebody in my office, then they all know about it.
It's a great event. It's $20, but that $20 is going to put you in the presence of some very fantastic, fabulous veterans from all the services and from as far back as we're sure World War II to even our most recent conflicts. But it's a great opportunity to really pay tribute and appreciate the sacrifice that our men and women in uniform do for us. But that's the Thursday prior over lunch, and it's a great way to kick off into parade, 5K day and parade day on the Saturday. And again, Toby Hanna Army Depot was very proud to be able to bring down numerous status displays. It's going to be a touch-a-truck kind of thing where the community is more than welcome to interact with the equipment we're bringing there. It's only a very small slice of the massive amount of work we do, but it's really exciting, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Great opportunity for the community.
Beautiful. So we're going to have military, we're going to have marching bands, we're going to have some people from Pocono Raceway, we're going to have numerous floats, so it's going to be a good opportunity for anybody to come out, enjoy the parade, give honor to all of our wonderful veterans, and anyone else from the committee would like to say a few words? Did we miss anything? Anyone else? Anyone else like to say a few words?
Andy Wallace never goes to the, I'm buying your ticket. I'll make sure they go in.
Would you like to speak, sir?
Going to be the Judge Tom Munley.
Just another thing about the
Go ahead.
luncheon. The tickets are $20 a piece.
Okay.
And actually, this is actually a good thing. We're getting close to selling out.
Good.
So if you want to get the tickets, I highly suggest within the next week, possibly, that you contact myself if you're from outside the depot or what have you. And I'll make sure to put them aside, and then you could get them the day of the event. So you basically RSVP if you want to do it that way. So.
Great.
Yeah, we're getting very close. I think we have maybe about 60-some left, so getting close.
It's going to be a great day.
Oh, yes.
Anyone else? Go ahead, pull the...
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Burns, and I just want to, the guy that started this, that deserves the credit, and these guys carried the ball, was Colonel Keith Martin, who used to be on Channel 28.
Remember Keith. Keith was a good man.
Well, he was my boss. I was a senior full-time guy, and then when he came back and took command, he brought me back as his executive officer. And he said, Jerry, we're bringing back the parade to Scranton. My mother had me down here when I was a kid to honor the veterans. He said, we're going to march, rain or shine, whether it's 3 people or 3,000. But when we had our first meeting, it was the county, the city, our veterans organizations, these gentlemen right here, they got together and made this thing happen. And I just left Myrtle Beach with Colonel Martin, and he said, make sure you tell everybody in the county commissioners how much I appreciate the luncheon coming back and the parade. And he said, if I could get there, he has some medical issues. He said, but he was the one, and everybody got on board, Commissioner, everybody. And again, we appreciate everything that was done.
Tell him thank you for his service, and to all our veterans, thank you for your service. It's going to be a great day. Saturday, May 19th, 11 o'clock. Parade steps off, and the race begins at what time, Mr. Bradshaw? What time?
30, and let me tell you, this is
What time's registration at? Because people are going to have to register if they're going.
rmh5k.com. Yeah, start registering now because it's loading up. But we'll do registration about 8:30 in the morning. But this parade is going to be something. It has gotten big. We're inviting the whole community to come out. This is going to be really something. You don't want to miss it. It's a full day of events. It's bigger and better than ever.
Wonderful. To the citizens of Lackawanna County, please make sure you get downtown Scranton for Saturday, May 19th, 11 o'clock for the parade. And if you're a runner, please be there for 8:30 for registration. Race will be taken off at 9:30. We have a proclamation. Whereas thousands of men and women have dedicated their lives to the service of the United States of America and the armed forces in order to protect the principles upon which our country was founded. Whereas President Harry S. Truman proclaimed the first Armed Forces Day in 1950 following the unification of the armed forces under one department, the Department of Defense. Whereas the Armed Forces Day honors and acknowledges the people of the armed forces of the United States while also educating the public on the role of the military, including displays and the state-of-the-art equipment in the civilian population. And whereas the citizens of Lackawanna County and of the United States appreciate the extreme sacrifice put forth by the armed forces and guaranteeing the maintenance of free and peaceful existence for all of our citizens. Now, therefore, we, Patrick M. O'Malley, Jerry Notarianni, and Lorraine A. Cummings, Commissioner of Lackawanna County, Pennsylvania, encourage all citizens of Lackawanna County to pay tribute to all who have served our great nation and to hereby proclaim May 14th through May 19th, 2018, on behalf of the 214,000 citizens as Armed Forces Day, Armed Forces Week in Lackawanna County. Congratulations, everyone. Would you like, Joseph, would you and the committee like to come up? Go ahead.
Come on, everybody.
Come on, everybody.
Congratulations, John.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
How to do it.
Thank you so much. What's your stiff
Ladies
neck?
first.
Okay, Fran, you're going to set us up.
Yeah. Everybody turn sideways. There you go. Facing towards the commissioner, though.
You want to get some other people?
That's it. Nope, that's fine. We'll get them all in.
Fran will get you all in, don't worry.
Get you all in. Just like Joe is okay. A little bit silent. To the back of Joe. Yep, going up to the back of Joe. Yep. Towards me a little bit. Bring your shoulder towards me a little bit. Sneak up.
First time you did this, right? Yeah.
Okay, same way over here. Come here, love. Right behind Commissioner. Turn this way. Thank you. There we go. Commissioner, please. Thank you. Okay, guys. You guys want to come down here, maybe in front a little bit so you can show?
Yeah, this is front.
Right, let's go down.
No, you won't get in the picture. Stand right in front.
The only one in the front. Can we get him? Come on up.
Yeah, we'll get everybody.
I got room.
You good?
There you go. One more.
Okay, we good? Everybody looking at me? All smiles? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Everybody looking at me? Perfect. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, good luck. Saturday night, on the corner, we're going to get a lot of people downtown Scranton.
That'll be in the brown section.
Thank you.
I'm from Holland.
71. 1871.
You.
Pat?
I got an idea.
But I think we forgot to mention it's at the Hilton Scranton, the luncheon.
Okay, step right up. Okay, now where's the luncheon going to be for the armed forces?
It's at the Hilton Scranton,
Okay, and that's Thursday,
May 17th,
May 17th, 11.
starting at 11 o'clock.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you. Have a good day. Get a table or something. Okay, Commissioner, ready? 18-0108, Business Spotlight.
Michelle Cadden, owner of Electric City Bakehouse.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
So tell us a little bit about your business.
So Electric City Bakehouse is a craft cakery that opened on Penn Avenue about 10 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And we are kind of trying to modernize the bakery in Scranton. So it's thus far been really, the community has been really great about embracing that, and we're really excited.
That's awesome. What made you, so you are an associate degree in culinary arts from Keystone.
Yes.
When did you graduate?
2010.
A while ago.
Yeah.
So you just decided that this is something you want to do on your own to open a business? How'd that come about?
I rented out a commercial kitchen, just a private commercial kitchen in a restaurant that had closed down. And I was doing that for a while, and then I stopped. I had children. And then as the children got a little bit older, they're 3 and 4 now, so it started, I started getting back into it little by little and doing things for friends and family. And then eventually it was getting busier and busier, so that I had to get, I considered opening a space and felt comfortable enough with the kids that I could be able to do that. So
that's
here I
really
am.
awesome. That's awesome. That, and that's part of why I like to spotlight businesses in our county, because you see where they started from. You started from your kitchen.
Yeah.
You hear about people saying, "I started my business out of my garage."
Right.
You started your business out of your kitchen.
Right.
I started my business out of my living room. So, it can be done if you have a passion for something that you enjoy. I love to have people like yourself come in and say,
Thank you.
I'm doing it. You're an inspiration to people throughout our county. And
Thank you.
if you don't know that, I hope you know it now, because you are. I like to make sure that you're recognized for the efforts that you put forth, and that's your talent, your treasure, your time, and you're investing in our community. And hopefully you'll grow to the point where you're going to be employing our community, and your children will take over that business one day, and they'll want to be you, their hero who started this business to begin with. So
I appreciate that.
well, I
Thank you.
appreciate you, and I'm so happy that you're here. So where exactly is it located?
It's on the 300 block of Penn Avenue, so it's kind of part of the Renaissance of Penn Avenue, where AV just opened, the Giving Tree Wellness Center just opened, the Slurp Shop is opening. There's a ton of really great energy in that block, and I think we're all kind of embracing each other and, hoping the best for each other, and just wishing each other success, and, everybody's sharing each other's posts on social media and kind of trying to promote everybody, so it's really a great camaraderie amongst, everybody opening in small businesses downtown.
That's awesome. And now, you're from Scranton originally,
Yes,
correct?
East Mountain.
And you're staying here in the city and representing your city very well. And I'm wondering, do you have any specialty in your bakery that makes you different from the rest?
Well, it's a craft cakery is what it's called. So it really, the style of the cakes are really modern. They're tall cakes, drip cakes, things done with sugar art. We do pulled sugar. We do brush strokes with chocolate, things like that. So it's a little bit off the beaten path from what you would see in a typical bakery.
Okay.
Specifically, in Scranton. Everybody has their niche, and I'm
Yes.
just glad that people have been embracing mine. I was a little bit nervous about that, but it's thus far gone really well. So, I hope success to everybody, as I hope they would for me. So.
Yes, and they do. And it's interesting to see how the businesses all pull together. They do that in Old Forge. We have the restaurants down there.
Uh-huh.
Somebody runs out of tomatoes, I
Right,
don't know.
right.
They go down the street and get some from the other restaurant, and they
Right, yeah.
hand them over. So it's nice to see that goes on throughout our county.
Absolutely.
And so proud of you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And it's an honor to recognize you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Terriani?
Great job. It's a beautiful location.
Thank you.
I go by it pretty regularly. I'm not much of a sweets eater, but I'll make it a point to get there this week. Thank you.
We'll
Good luck.
turn you.
Michelle, you have a heck of a story. So you're going to college, and to pay your bills, you're making cakes.
Right, yeah, I was renting the commercial kitchen
Yeah.
and waitressing at my aunt's restaurant, and kind of doing a little bit. I would leave the restaurant at 10 and go down and bake until 3, and then go back,
Yeah.
go to school the next morning. And so, yeah.
It makes you into the person you are. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes, you you probably could have used 2 more people, but, when you're trying to build something, you're making one person into an army if you have to.
Right.
To get it off the ground. Well, congratulations,
Thank you.
because that early success is what propelled you to what you are today.
Thank you. I
You know what I
appreciate it.
mean? You know that you absolutely believe in who you are as a baker. And it's not an easy thing, you know what I mean? It's like anything else, you know what I mean? If it was easy, everybody would do it. I understand from catering, there's nothing like the face on a bride when she sees her wedding cake.
Right.
Like, how marvelous is that?
Yeah.
Isn't that rewarding when
It
they look at the
is.
cake and you know that this cake is part of one of the biggest days of that person's lives?
Right.
50th anniversary, big milestone, another part of someone's lives, of couples' lives. You know, and you have your children involved in it.
Yes, Bailey's there every day.
It's nice.
And that's
Every
good. I've done the same thing. My two sons have been involved in the business for the whole entire time since they're able to walk.
Yeah.
You know, but it really is good. And you know, and it teaches them hard work and everything else. It shows moms there, and like I said, this is your business. I mean, you have your two children, but this is one of your kids too. This business is, you cultivate it, you nurture it, and you work in it. Congratulations. We're very happy to have you here
Thank you
today.
so much.
What's the phone number? What do we call?
It's 570-909-7268.
And what's your website?
It's www.electricitybakehouse.com, and the email is ecbakehouse@gmail.com.
Great. Commissioner Cummings?
Well, while you were talking, I was reading, she's got maple bacon. Oh, that sounds great.
Maybe they're going to try to samples, right?
I know, we gotta come sample this out. Well, it's an honor for me to present the certificate of recognition. The County of Lackawanna Board of Commissioners does hereby recognize Electric City Bakehouse in honor of achieving the designation of a small business spotlighted in Lackawanna County, given this 4th day of May 2018 by Commissioner Patrick O'Malley, Commissioner Jerry Notarianni, and myself, Commissioner Cummings. Come on up.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great to see another business growing in Scranton and Lackawanna County. Really, really nice. Okay, opportunity for the public to address the board on agenda items only.
Joan Hodawanitz, 220 Linden Street, Scranton. With regard to 18-0098, the third lease modification agreement on the Brooks building, first, please refresh my memory. What county functions operate out of the Brooks building?
Okay.
Okay. I see the lease is written this place for 12 months running through January 31st, 2019. That function will also move into the Globe store, will it not?
The lease was amended. The lease runs until December 31st, and we do plan on them moving out by December 1st.
Okay. So if you terminate the lease early, then you'll save that $7,700 per month.
You're correct.
Okay. Because the back.
That's what's paying the mortgage. That's going to pay the mortgage, all those leases.
I understand, and I'm fully in support of it.
Thank you.
Item 18-0105, which is the Forensic Accounting Services Agreement for the aging services. I understand why you would need forensic auditing for this kind of thing to determine financial abuse, fraud, and/or neglect with services to the elderly. Do we have any other departments that require an annual forensic audit?
Tom Durkin, do we?
No, that's not.
Okay,
Okay.
so it's just not children, youth, and
No,
protective
it's-
services or anything like that?
That's not an audit.
It's not. Jason, would you like to explain it real quick?
It's not an audit.
Or Tom?
Yeah, Tom.
There are many departments within the county that require financial audits. There are also many departments within the county that require what are called Act 133 audits, which are federal funds audits, but there is no requirement for any other department in the county. And I mean, for that matter, there's not a requirement, I don't believe, for aging either. It's just that they're doing their due diligence to make sure that their clients aren't being abused and stuff, and so they're engaging a forensic auditor.
I'm going to assume that they would have had to have an audit anyway, so you're just doing a forensic one to
That's
do
correct.
due diligence.
They have an
It
annual
would, there
audit.
would have been an annual anyway.
An annual audit.
No, that's not that's not correct. That's not correct. It's not correct. The auditor is being retained in the event, on a case-by-case basis, if they suspect there was fraud
Right.
in somebody's life, they go in and they do an audit of that particular. They don't do an annual audit of the department. It's on a case-by-case basis. If somebody thought somebody was
Almost like a
stealing somebody's
contingency?
money, if they thought somebody was stealing somebody's money, the forensic auditor would go back and recreate their financial records and do an audit on a case-by-case basis.
Of an
So it's
individual.
only as needed.
Of an individual, not the
Of an
entity.
individual,
Right.
yes.
So if nothing surfaces, then this doesn't get
That's
executed.
correct. If we don't use them, we don't need them. That's
So,
correct.
I mean, you know, so then you don't have to expend $55,000 if there's no reason to.
No.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, one more thing. I looked at the accounts payable. I didn't recognize anything that looked like it would be associated with legal fees with regard to the allegations about the prison. However, I may have missed something because it's just a name and an amount on the list. Number one, anything in the accounts payable that's in this document for legal fees? For that?
Mr. DeBillio?
Joan, no, there's nothing on today's agenda on accounts
Okay.
payable regarding the prison legal fees.
And the last time we had a total was $350,000 as of the end of February. Is that still the running total, or has it gone up?
I believe that that's pretty much in the neighborhood, Joan. I don't have the totals right in front of me today, but I can look into that for you.
Okay. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Okay.
Marie Schumacher, 1799 East Mountain Road. On 18-0105, is this new or a renewal? And I would also like to know how many times it's been used in each of the last 5 years, if it's renewal.
That's that new one for that new job, right?
That's the French
2005.
Yes.
This is new. This is new.
That's
This
that
is
new
some-
from, what's her name, from Orphans Court.
Have we had a contract with
Oh,
someone else before? This?
We've never had this before. I don't remember this. Have we?
Jason's saying yes.
Jason, have we? Okay.
We had a previous
Yes, we
contract that expired with our new contract.
Person didn't do it.
Do a forensic accountant or investigatory. Attorney's office for exploited adults. We engaged in 2 cases last time.
Jason, would you
Yeah, why don't you come up to the
Oh, Jason, so they could hear you.
The forensic accountant service is particularly for protective service cases for older adults who have been exploited, and the information that the forensic accountant reviews, the district attorney's office will be able to use for prosecution, and in turn will also be able to use to help that older victim get restitution and possibly reclaim some of the money that they lost. So we used it twice last year on 2 specific cases. The contract had lapsed and we put out a new RFQ, and this is our new contract that we're renewing because our current district attorney had asked us to engage that service in our continued effort to combat older adult exploitation. And we are audited annually by the Department of Aging on all our financials. In fact, they're wrapping up our audit right now.
Jason, I'd like to thank you for the fine job that you do. And all of your employees, when I speak to them on the elevator, they talk about how great the department's run.
Thank you. I
Just so you know.
Okay, thank you. On 18-0100, how many leases do we have for women's work release, this program, and what municipalities are they in? Does Scranton get them all?
Mr. Jeffers is here to answer that.
It's one building, it's right up the street from us. It's right in the university's
campus.
Are the bricks, the old bricks building? Yeah?
No, these
No.
are apartments.
Building on
No.
Madison Avenue.
Oh, okay,
All right, and there's 2 apartments, which are 2 separate leases.
okay, thank you. And then, I think Joan got one question answered on the 18-0098. But why was this not done in January? I mean,
We wanted, was the
it's
the
May,
rationale was
right?
we just wanted to make sure that it ended when we assumed that we'd be out of the building. Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
the
it was
prior, the
ending in
prior
January.
lease
No, we're-
was, the prior lease was to expire in January 31st of 2019, and we modified that to move it so it expires December 31st.
Just save a month and right.
okay,
No, everything's good here. We make
We're
sure
on
that
an
everything, we
annual
make
lease.
sure we're ahead of everything
We
if
were
we
on an
can.
annual lease, which was set to expire this January 31st of next year. Is what we did was we moved that up so it'll expire at the end of this year, because we won't need the building in January of next year.
There's no reason that we'd be there into those
Thank
4
you.
weeks.
Thanks, Mary.
okay.
Thanks for your questions. Okay. Resolutions 18-0106, approving current payables.
Be resolved, Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby approves the following payables from the Lackawanna County General Fund numbers 261-700 through 262-576 inclusive, totaling $5,601,976. Electronic fund transfers, including all payroll accounts, totaling $4,705,129.91. Mr. DeVillio.
Everything's good?
Commissioners, everything's in order. That's on today's agenda. Everything has been audited and approved by our Accounts Payable Department.
Does the board have any questions?
I have a question on Conex. I got a call that there was an issue with our Conex contract. Is there, can you not hear? Oh, sorry. On Conex, I heard that there was an issue with Conex that our contract was up. Is that true? Does anybody know?
No.
I would have to check into that. I'm
have to
gonna have
look
to
into
talk
it.
to
Can you
Jeff.
check on that,
Jeff
please?
Mando, I don't have the contract in front of me. I don't know when it runs. First time the issue is being raised to me.
I'm not sure when
It's
that
a
is.
5-year. It was 2009, I remember. And then
Check it out for you.
it's, I don't know if they renewed it and got another 5-year or what they did with that.
No.
We'll look into that for you,
They
Commissioner.
generally run, Gary, month to month until renewed or else terminated. But we'll check it out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Can I make a motion? I'd like to make a motion approving current payables. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 18-0100.
Women's Work Release Agreement. Be it resolved, Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby approves and ratifies a lease agreement with P&D Enterprises for the Office of Community Corrections Women's Work Release on Madison Avenue in Scranton, June 1st, 2018 through May 31st, 2019. Mr. Jeffers.
Director
Yes,
Jeffers, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Mr. Controller. Just a quick correction. The place is not actually on the university's campus. It's in between our building and the campus. It's about 2 blocks from here, Marie. Okay.
And how's the program working? Very
Program
well, right?
works very, very well. Knock on wood. This is the second lease that we entered into a new lease last year in August for a 3rd apartment. So there's really 2 leases. One lease covers 2 apartments, and the second lease covers 1 apartment. This is a renewal for 1 year on the second lease that was recommended from the prison board up to the Board of Commissioners.
Does the board have any questions? I'd like to make a motion entering into a women's work lease agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
18-0101.
Entering into an agreement with Lackawanna Heritage Valley Authority. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby enters into an agreement for professional services of Lackawanna Heritage Valley for routine maintenance service for Lackawanna River Heritage Trail from May 1st, 2018, and on April 30th, 2019. The authority will remit to the county the sum of $3,000 per trail mile and $250 for snow blowing. Mr. Davis.
Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Commissioners.
Are we getting ready for spring? Everything's going good in the parks? Summer's coming quick?
We're a little behind the ball because of the weather, but we're getting caught up.
Good.
So, this is a annual renewal. We've been doing this contract. I believe this will be the 10th year. We're up to 11.8 miles, and that would work out to 33,540 on this contract. There's an increase because of the new section of trail up in the Carbondale area that will be opening. Last year's contract, we received 29,370 for the work that was done. This is using park personnel, our equipment, to help maintain the trail, remove garbage.
Well, this is actually a maintenance agreement, correct?
That is correct.
It's a maintenance agreement. It's not a professional service.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, this is an annual maintenance agreement that we do, have been doing, as I said, I believe about 10 years now.
To keep the weeds off the trail, keep everything
That's
back.
correct.
Very good. Does the board have any questions?
I have a couple. For the snow plowing, you were talking about that when we had met. Is that the entire trail that gets plowed?
No, it's not, Commissioner. It's only the Scranton section, and that was added to the contract at the request of LHVA because there are running events that go on the paved surface in the wintertime, and they asked us to do that, and that's on a per event basis. So we only get paid for how often we have to go out.
Well, do all the other boroughs get the ability to use that service? Or is it just Scranton?
That would be something that would have to be negotiated with LHVA and the boroughs. That's not something
They're
that we
paying for it
negotiate.
purely because of the races.
That's correct.
Okay.
So we have a lot of races there even in the winter?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a running race every
Yeah, and they're
month.
including those numbers in their walking. You know, do we know how many people actually walk and bike on that? Or do we just, because they included, they said we have 30-some thousand people using these trails, but they're using the numbers from all the 5Ks and all that. That shouldn't be included in that number. We're talking about local residents. Who uses it? Do we know?
That I don't know. That's something that LHVA would do. This contract is only pertinent to the maintenance. As far as the number of users, that's something we would have to discuss with the LHVA.
Mm-hmm. All right, thanks.
Okay. I know it's heavily used. I know of at least 20 people that use it daily. They use it all the
We
time.
have 214,000
They go-
residents that pay for all this stuff.
It's good. It's very good. Okay, I'd like to make a motion entering into agreement with Lackawanna Heritage Valley Authority. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Thanks, Bill. Okay, you're standing. 18-0102.
An agreement with Sakula Environmental Services, be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby enters into an agreement of operation with Lackawanna County Parks and Recreation for water treatment and testing with Sakula Environmental Services from May 1st, 2018 to expire on December 31st, 2019 at the rate of $1,500 per month with an additional charge of $480 for in-season swimming pool sample. Mr. Davis?
Commissioners, this is a contract to monitor our non-municipal water systems, our well systems at Aylesworth, Covington, and Merle-Stronowski parks. They're not on public water, and because we offer water for public use, it has to be monitored and also treated periodically. This company was recommended from a list of, I believe, 6 other companies that are licensed through DEP to do this monitoring for us. We were doing it on a month-to-month basis. We found that they've been doing a good job. Their costs are pretty reasonable, and they've been keeping us in compliance. So what we're doing is just entering into a contract so that we don't have to get monthly POs for that service, and just enter in a yearly contract, which then we could renegotiate at a later time.
Okay, does the board have any questions for Mr. Davis?
I just have some comments. I didn't realize that we had well water, and do we have, what's our septic? Is that in?
That's on-site septic systems, yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're so far out there that there's no source.
And they're rural
water.
locations, Commissioner.
Yeah.
So it's not just the park. I mean, it's the whole community that is surrounding the park.
it's not just
And-
us.
Right. If we had access to a municipal system, we would certainly hook onto it. But at this time, we just don't.
That's a very expensive venture. How much did it cost to set that all up? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't here, I guess. I don't know.
Well, the Merle Cernowski, that was done in the 70s.
30-some years ago.
I can't
And they set
attest.
that up with the well and the septic then? And
Yes.
has it ever been changed?
Well, we do maintenance on it. But have we redone the whole system?
Have we ever had to dig another well? Did we run out of water?
Well,
Nothing?
there were actually at Merle Cernowski, we've been doing a study and we were that's actually part of our capital budget that was proposed that we would redo the well system at Merle Cernowski because those wells have just aged out. The one at Aylesworth and Covington are relatively new wells. Aylesworth was, I believe, put in 2009, and the one at Covington was in 2011. So they're relatively new well systems, but we still have to monitor them. And then, as I said, we could discuss it another time, but that is a project that we want to undertake at some point, is redoing the well system at Merle Cernowski.
How much does a project like that cost?
I believe the well, because what we had to do is we hired a consultant that looked at the water sources in that park, and we would almost have one well and then have to do a pipeline system to where we need it in the park. I believe the original estimate was $500,000.
Just for the well on this site.
Just for the well.
The wells are currently working.
They are.
Okay.
They are currently working.
Okay. Does the board have any other questions? I'd like to make a motion to enter an agreement with Sakula Environmental Services. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Okay, 18-0098.
A third lease modification agreement. Be it resolved, Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby enters into a third lease modification agreement with Brooks Realty Group for a term of the lease extended for 12 months from February 1st, 2018, expiring on December 31st of 2018, with the rental amount of $7,781.67 a month. Mr. Frederickson?
Thank you, Commissioners. The Brooks Building houses the offices of the Clerk of Judicial Records. That's where civil filings are truncated in there. And also Mari Kelly's office is located in there on the second floor. The lease we had was set to expire again January 31st of 2019. We're amending that lease, so now it'll expire December 31st of this year. So we'll vacate the premises a month earlier, and we'll save that the month's rent. It's about $7,800 plus utilities we'll save.
Okay, does the board have any questions for Mr. Frederickson? I'd like to make a motion entering into third lease modification and agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 18-0103.
Arts and Culture Grant. Be it resolved, Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby awards an Arts and Culture mini grant to the following community organization: the Inclusion Festival, the nation's first sensory-friendly musical arts and wellness festival for individuals with and without special needs, to debut on July 28th and 29th at Mountain Sky Festival grounds in German, Pennsylvania. Ms. McGuigan?
This is just a great
Alrighty.
event. Hi, how are you, Commissioners? We were really happy to have this request because it's celebrating diversity in our community and offering something for persons with disabilities, both as activities and education for the community. And it's also taking place in Scott Township, so it's nice to see things spread around the county. So I think it's a great project.
Good. Does the board have any questions?
Is it for disabled or is it for diversity? Which is it?
I'm using the word diversity in terms of getting more funding and events for people. So diversity in the terms of we're doing an event for persons with disabilities that's also an educational event for the public. So I'm sorry, I just use diversity as a term. We're getting different types of events in our county.
But it is specifically for the disabled.
It's for
correct?
everyone. So it's for persons. It's celebrating and offering activities that would be accessible for persons with disabilities. And it's also for the public to come and enjoy these activities and meet other people, a diverse range of people and activities. So it's a festival of inclusion.
Where's it going to be, at the old school?
The Mountain Sky.
It's included. I'm not sure why it would be an inclusive. I'm not sure what you're trying to portray here. If
It's a public festival at Mountain Sky, which is a beautiful location, and it's specifically, inclusion is the term we use now to make sure that all people in our communities have events, activities, and things that they can access. So that's simply the word. The word inclusion just means everybody's included. So I think it's wonderful because it's acknowledging perhaps a group that maybe we don't often fund or celebrate enough. So there'll be that term sensory. There's a lot of amazing things now for people with different disabilities. So also it will be a lot of art and yoga and fun and food for the public. So it's for everybody. So I think that's why they're using the term inclusive.
I would think a fair is for everyone anyway. So why would it have to be said, unless it's specific? We're specifically trying to, make sure people are able to access.
Well, that's exactly
areas
right.
That normally
I'm sorry.
wouldn't be
I'm sorry if I was
accessible.
unclear. I'm sorry if I was clear. The word inclusion simply means there'll be things that perhaps are not available at other festivals, so that people who may not
with disabilities
who may have challenges can attend and experience things. I'm sorry
Okay,
if I
thank
confused.
you. No, don't apologize. I'm just asking you why it's titled that. That's all. Thank you.
Maureen, Keith Williams, those guys, they're all reached out to? Yeah, Keith Williams? Good. Very good. Okay.
This grant was actually, I met with this group when they come into the conference room to meet with the Disability Committee, and I made them aware of our arts and culture, and they went and they met with Maureen, and this is a first-time grant for them. They're very excited about how it's going to help the community and include all these folks in it, and it'll be the first time we're doing this, so they'd also like the commissioners to stop up and see it. They personally are going to come and invite you to that too. Yeah, it's a great program.
Okay, great. I'd like to make a motion awarding an arts and culture grant. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 18-0104.
These are aging contract amendments. Be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby enters into contract amendments with the County of Lackawanna Transit System, Lackawanna Pro Bono, Inc., the Jewish Community Center, Senior Center, the Pennsylvania Department of Aging. Mr. Vulich.
Mr. Vulich, how are you again?
Good. Thank you, Commissioners. The First Amendment is to increase the contract cap for the Jewish Community Center, Senior Center. They have expended all their activity money to date, and they would need this adjustment so that they can continue to provide activities to older adults for the rest of the fiscal year. The second contract is an expansion of an existing, or the next amendment is an expansion of an existing contract with Lackawanna County Pro Bono to expand our elder law help desk to include restitution services for victims of exploitation and to help them get legal services so that they can be made whole after they've been victimized. The contract amendment with Colts is to expand more transportation to older adults. They've reached their contract limit. We would like to move additional funding into that program, and also it will include funding for free transportation for older adults to get to the Armed Forces Parade. We're trying to get more older adults from all across the county to come down for the parade that day. And the last contract amendment is the contract with the Department of Aging. That's to change the rate in which we're reimbursed for doing nursing home transition cases.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Kuvulich?
I just have the one on forensic accounting. You're expanding that for?
That's the next agenda items, Commissioner.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to turn to an aging contract amendment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 18-0105.
Entering into a forensic accounting agreement, be it resolved, the Board of Commissioners of Lackawanna County hereby approves of and enters into a professional service agreement by and between the Area Agency on Aging and Arthur J. Moretti, CPA, for forensic accounting services. Mr. Kuvulich.
Yes, this again is a contract with Mr. Moretti to do forensic accounting services for exploited older adults, to help them with the prosecution of their case and to help them with the restitution and help them get remedy when they're wronged by someone who's financially exploited them. It's only used on a case-by-case basis, depending on if it's an older adult exploitation case.
So we don't pay anything unless it's being utilized.
There's a contract capped at $55,000. We will not go over that contract cap without an amendment. But we have not to date ever gone to the full contract cap anytime we've ever used the services. I think it was around 19,000 that we expended last year on the service. I would have to double
We never
check.
did a cap.
I just heard the word expansion, and I thought, well, what are you expanding? So I thought it was just utilizing the service. What expansion are you referring to?
The only program that we've expanded was the pro bono in the previous.
Okay, that's okay. All right. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Does the board have any other questions? I'd like to make a motion entering into a forensic accounting agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Commissioner O'Malley, prior to your opportunity for the public to address the board, I have an item of new business I'd like to submit to the Board of Commissioners this morning that came up yesterday afternoon, and I'd like to read a letter into the record and see if you'll take action upon this. I've met with the county engineer and the county solicitor, and I'd like to give it to you for consideration.
Okay.
May I read it?
Sure.
Yes. The letter and you. You're not going to read it into the record? Okay. Okay. We had GPI yesterday go and visit the Live Nation Center up at Montage, and we have a situation up there that has to be addressed, and I want to call this to your attention. Dear Mr. Wallace, as requested, I performed a site visit to the Montage Amphitheater on May 2nd, 2018 at approximately 3 p.m. to view the existing pavement conditions within the amphitheater for safety concerns. I documented several paving notches within the area that are predominantly 2 inches in depth, some as deep as 4 inches. In our opinion, this is a safety concern due to tripping hazards and also an ADA compliance issue with the bathrooms. The pavement notches were visible around the bathroom entrances, concession stands, and entrance to the amphitheater. This is a liability to the county due to safety issues, and the pavement conditions need to be repaired prior to allowing the public to use the facility this year. It's our understanding the facility is scheduled to be utilized on May 12th, 2018, with the date quickly approaching. It's our opinion the situation is an emergency and needs to be repaired prior to the opening. I want to call this to your attention. We did also solicit 4 bids to get the fastest way we could do this through Live Nations, and I wanted to discuss it with the solicitors, and they wanted it raised at the meeting this morning.
Gary, would you like to get up and you walk the site?
Could I just tell them not to have any more concerts? We're shut down. I don't, you know.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good
It's
afternoon.
a safety hazard.
I was up there yesterday, approximately 3 o'clock. There's paving notches that were installed around the concession stands, around the bathrooms, as I said in the letter. In my opinion, you cannot let the public use that at this time. It's going to be a liability to the county. They're located especially in the areas that are most used, and I can see a lawsuit happening if we don't get those repaired before it's open. I was notified yesterday to go up and look at it.
Well, I'd like to go and see it.
I'm sorry.
Well, somebody should have told me. I would have drove up there yesterday.
I was.
Not on you, Gary. Sorry.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with you. I didn't know anything about it. First, did you guys know about this at all?
I was told of it day before yesterday.
Oh, really? Well, first time I'm hearing about it.
It's something that was an existing condition for a while now, so it should
Why
have
is
been
it
brought.
emergency
It should have been
now?
brought to our attention prior to this.
I think our season start.
See now, but it's been there a while.
Our season starts with the 18th of May.
Keystone College is graduating that day, and there'll be a considerable amount of people on the mountain, and we want to try and get it corrected before then.
Yeah, I think I was notified 7,000 to 8,000 people.
And the
would be
concert
using
season actually starts about a month later or
How
less.
much does something like this cost, Gary?
Just from my knowledge from talking to people, I was told that the lowest bid came in around 30 grand.
Yeah, 29.6,
$30,000?
Gary, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, 29.6, right?
Yeah.
I believe,
That's our savings
Commissioner, I believe it was something that Live Nations thought they could deal with, and when it was brought to our legal department, it was decided that
We own the property.
We own the
Commissioner
property, so
Notarianni's
therefore they
correct.
Well, it's
couldn't
nice
do
to
it.
see that our majority is working together to fix this. I'm happy to see that. Good.
Thank you.
I didn't talk about this till yesterday with anyone. I just got called that we were going to be.
It's the
Let
way
me
it
see what
should
the
be,
numbers were
Pat.
gonna
I'm
be.
not complaining. I'm
Actually,
just
we
saying,
thought
I'm
it
glad
was
to see that the majority is working on this
actually,
stuff
we
without
tried
me
to
knowing.
we tried to address it. We thought it was a routine maintenance issue, and we went up and we looked at it. It became more severe than we thought, and it became more complicated because we researched the code and we wanted to do it the proper and legal way to do it to protect the county, and that's the reason I'm raising it this morning, to protect the county commissioner's interests, so we could get it done, declare it as an emergency, and get it paid for. And it'll be a safety thing for the people going up there.
I saw it yesterday.
So basically,
this all happened, a lot of it happened yesterday.
So basically, what we're looking at is the fact that
Any
it's
pictures?
unsafe and we need
Yeah,
to
I
have
do on
this
my phone.
blacktopped.
Sure. Correct. Yeah, it doesn't actually necessarily need to be declared as an emergency. Under Section 1802H1 of the code, we have a right to make repairs to existing structures and public works, and that this would be a public work. So we're actually able to award it through that provision of the code.
Okay.
Bathroom.
That's a bathroom.
Sticky or not, so that I could pay them.
That's a mill coming in.
You gotta move your hand because I can't see.
Sorry.
So what we're going with the lowest, excuse me, what are we going with the lowest bid?
Yeah, Commissioner, what we're going to do is we're going to subtract this amount from the amount of money that Live Nations owns us, because it is a responsibility of the county to pay it.
Why were they removed?
Okay. It's going to be taken off their lease
Out of
agreement.
the additional monies that we recovered through our negotiations with them to get it up where we're breaking even on the facility. Originally, we started out getting $550. If you recall, over a period of years, we entered into amendments and negotiations with them, and we're up to close to $900,000 we're getting back.
This administration has made great strides with increasing the amount of money that we receive from Live Nations. So this will just make the environment safer for our constituents and people from out of town at the concerts. Okay.
Thank you for considering this.
This is like, these are notches that we did. We cut them out.
We were trying to begin to repair it, and it got a little bit out of control, Commissioner, last year, and we have to get it fixed and ready for concert season. That's correct.
Do it. They have to do it.
Well, they started it. What? That looks like somebody started it. And then somebody pulled the, what do they call it, ballers? What's that?
Ballers. There are ballers going across where they were yanked out.
So are we talking like cement posts that were standing there to?
Steel posts.
Steel posts?
Yeah.
And somebody pulled them out? Who pulled them out?
I don't know that.
Somebody pulled them out of the ground. We didn't, did we do that?
I don't think we did. I think Live
I don't believe we did.
Something that happened, like they were trying to work together. To
Yes,
get
we
something
did.
Done. And whether
There was a question as to who was responsible, and in the final analysis, it's a county property, and it has to be done. And
We're the
we're
land-
doing it under because of a safety aspect.
We're the landlords.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so what do we have to do?
Well, I mean, we have to fix it. Obviously, we started fixing it already. That it looks like we already started working on it.
What's that?
Amend their contract.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion approving blacktop repairs to Live Nation, or the Amphitheater. Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for the.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you for going up yesterday.
Thank you, Gary. Opportunity for the public to address the board.
Oh, Bob is back.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Bob.
Bob
Morning,
Lowell,
Bob.
Scranton. You know, on 180101, I find it kind of comical that we have to pay for people to go on the trail and run. When there's people that are running there, I'm sure there's people who own snow plows that would more than gladly, or should, since for their own use, volunteer to plow the snow out of there.
We're not plowing it. We're getting paid to plow.
We're not paying. They're hiring us as a
paid.
contractor.
The Lackawanna Heritage Valley is the one that pays us to do that for a specific event.
They're paying
They're
Parks and
hiring us as
Recreation.
a
We're being
contractor.
compensated for.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know because there was no study done to see if they're actually, how much our equipment costs, how many hours are worked, how much we have to, wear and tear on
I'd like to see a
anything.
dollars and cents figure of what it's going to cost to get something done, just like you're doing up at the pavilion up there. Is it a permanent cut? Is it a temporary cut? I mean, it seems like an awful lot of money to do a little bit of blacktop paving out there. I mean, I've had truck stops and everything else down there where we had 15 acres that we paved and patched and repaired. And from what I'm seeing here, it seems like an awful lot of money to go do a patching, unless it's going to be a major repair that's going to be a permanent repair and not done over and over and over again.
Which one are you referring to, Mr. Bowles?
Well, I'm just talking about the one you brought up. It's not on here, Andy.
21,600 square feet.
Right.
That's 21,000.
And they're replacing all that blacktop?
That's correct.
Why would you be replacing all of it when you only have a couple sections that are damaged?
So
Well,
this
you
entire
really want to
sec.
go up there and look at it, Bob. It's beyond that. It really is. I went up yesterday. It is beyond that. I think it should have been something addressed earlier, but it isn't. And with Mary Lackawanna having their event there, we will be responsible. So therefore,
Are
it's
they
something-
digging it completely out, or are they
That is
just topping
correct.
it?
That is correct.
They're taking it completely out of there?
Yeah, that is
Why don't they
correct.
just top it?
It wasn't a fully paved area that could have been finished. You'd have to look at it and see, but it was the most cost-effective way to do it from a safety standpoint, where it would be corrected permanently.
They received other bids that are in excess of $40,000 for the same job.
I understand that, but I'm looking at, say, we want to take this whole area out, when all we have to do is put a coat of topping over it.
If it went up and
It's like a
looked, you'd
PennDOT
understand.
project,
Yeah.
that's all. You see them going over the road again without digging it out.
The pictures I just saw were areas where balusters were pulled out. Gary, you want to come back up? I mean, that's ridiculous. I didn't realize they were paving the whole entire parking area.
And
Not the
Maybe
pictures
Gary
he showed
can answer
me.
the question a little bit better.
Yeah.
Basically, it is that they were going to do a mill and overlay, or
Gary, go over so the viewing audience can hear that.
they were going to do paving notches and then
Right.
overlay the area. What had happened was we had done the paving notches,
The prep work,
the
Gary.
prep work to get it done,
Mhm.
and then the overlay was never done. So at this point, you have the paving notches with a 2-inch lip. That's a safety concern from my standpoint. Now, I can't address on why it wasn't addressed earlier, but it needs to be done at this point. The price, though, is to paving those notches and then overlay the area as well, because
So-
it was already prepped for
Right,
that.
but what I was getting at, you're not taking the whole
No,
area
you're-
out
you're
as
not
an
doing a full
excavation.
base
You're just
repair, right?
topping it, in other
Yeah,
words.
just topping it.
Okay.
You're correct.
If it's topped, it's smooth, it should be permanent for a long, long time. You know, they're doing the repair that was underneath it and then topping it over. It's just like doing a road project. You don't, it was a whole excavation of the area, dig it all out, stone and everything else and going back in. But it's just basically a topping project. Repair some of the areas and top it. And it's permanent. So I don't see a problem with it personally. That was an easy one for a change. I'm looking over here, Grand Armed Forces. You know, my fellow veterans, and I call them all my fellow vets because I'm heavily involved anymore all over the country. And it seems to be a project I got involved in by accident when I started going to Iwo Jima. And that's accelerating. But, you know, I sit here, and I've been here, Pat, here's $20-some thousand to pave an area. There's grants for this, grants for that. Why aren't we taking care of the vets? We're going to honor them. We're going to do this. The parade's going to be over. That's the end of it. Our people came home. People spit on them. Nobody cares about what they did. They're in the minority of being recognized in this country. Yet for the blood that they spilled protecting this country, we dishonored them in a sense that we don't really give a damn about them. They got PTSD. They got all these issues. A lot of them are living on the streets. I think in San Francisco, if you just took a look at the people out there sticking needles in their arms, how many of them are old vets that had nowhere to go, their backs were turned on them? And for a number of reasons. I'm still adamantly pushing for a PTSD study here. We have the medical college, we have the hospitals, we have the talent here to do it. I brought you the professional here to teach them what to do, and we still haven't done a darn thing about it because there's no money, no money, no money. But every time I turn my head, we're spending $100,000 here, $50,000 there.
500,000 on wells.
There you go. So we're spending But Saturday, we're going to look at military vehicles from Toby Hanna. We're going to look at that. But you know what you should look at, and I might do it, I've talked to some of the vets, is put a coffin on one of my rollbacks and put a flag over it. Because nobody heard their voices. And that's where they wind up. And that's the sad part about what's going on here. We're not hearing them. And when nobody hears somebody, it's just like a child crying. Sooner or later, there's a problem. The child's injured or there's a reason. And we can't keep turning our head and making excuses. And that's the sad part of this. We keep making damn excuses. We can't do this and we can't do that. I'm trying to use the old Holy Cross Church that I bought over here to try and figure out a way to set up a veteran center, a suicide area, where people could come in, not talk to a counselor. Remember, veterans that have been in conflicts don't want to talk to somebody that's never been there. They heal themselves by talking to their comrades because they know the situation, they know the problems. And they know they're not being looked upon as, yeah, okay, you're here, your hour's up, excuse me, move on. We need a place like that. And I've spent the last couple of weeks with them trying to figure out a solution. And I'd like the county to get involved in it. Maybe take the building on a lease purchase. But do something, because I preserved it. But how credible it would be to this county to say we not only preserved the church, but we made it something in respect to those people that are going to be there Saturday. And those that aren't going to be there, those that didn't come home. And that's what we need to do. But we can't keep talking about it. And this county has always moved forward in a lot of areas. And I don't see why we can't be the leader in this country of showing them what to do with abandoned buildings, churches that are being given up by dioceses like in Pittsburgh and all, and converting them to veteran centers. They're giving them away. They're selling them cheap. If I didn't buy that building, it would have been a parking lot. I leave the hall open so the kids could play basketball, and they play free. Of course, I'm getting whacked taxes unfairly and all, but that's an issue I'll deal in the courtrooms with. I just want to do something, and I think not I want to do it, I think we should do it. And that's each and every one of us, is finally respect our people, what they gave, and let's give something back to them. And then when we go to Armed Forces Parade, we could feel proud, not just because we're in a parade or listening to a band or seeing some machinery going down, but be proud that when we see an individual that was in that coffin or at Andrews Air Force Base, be proud to say we're Americans and respect our Americans. This is the time to do it. And I'm 100% behind it. I'm asking this county, finally, once and for all, let's get behind it. Let's set up a PTSD program, and let's stop pushing the ball around the table. It's time. It's way overdue. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Anyone else?
Joan Hodawan, it's 220 Linden Street, Scranton. Commissioner O'Malley, before you adjourn, will you please explain what's going on with the Jimmy Reddington remembrance?
Yeah, I didn't get to that yet because
Yeah.
this was earlier, and
Okay,
this
as
is
long
like
as-
this is a
as
little
long
bit
as
further
you,
down in May.
mention
Yeah,
that before you adjourn.
absolutely.
I mean, there's a man, a Marine, a hero, who was killed at 19 years of age. I have purses that are older than 19 years. I mean, he could have lived another 70 or 80 years, and he's gone. And so it is appropriate that we remember the sacrifice that he and many others made. Some died, some were forever maimed and changed. So yes, I would hope you explain that.
Sure.
With regard to this issue at Montage Mountain in the amphitheater, it sounds to me like you dodged a bullet, a potential legal bullet, and I'm glad that you did. And I don't understand what a notch is. I wouldn't know if I fell over it. However, I hope that we have a process for the properties that the county owns and has legal responsibility for, that if we're doing maintenance or changes to them, that there's a follow-up so that we don't end up within a month of having events scheduled and then we end up in this kind of near crisis situation. You dodged the bullet. And I'm not saying that anybody did anything wrong, but just maybe we need to relook procedures so that we, you know, we don't end up in a similar situation like this in the future. I think you're doing the right thing, and I don't object to the expenditure of funds because it's going to be a lot cheaper than a lawsuit. Nevertheless, you know, we should just look at how we process these things so this will never happen again. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, John.
Marie Schumacher, before I start out with anything else, I would like to ask for some consistency. I came in today.
I was going to ask you about that when I was speaking.
Every other time I come in here, it's a different policy. When I challenged the young men this morning, this woman appears out of nowhere. You know, it's the sheriff said to do it. We're doing it. I said, yeah, I know it's your boss, but there's also commissioners here. And anyway,
I would like to know who gave that to you.
Without getting too far into it, I do think we need some consistency. And you know, when you're responsible for other people, and it's nice that we do have cell phones now, that we don't have to stay home. We can still be mobile, except that now it's being taken away from us again. So then the other thing, I would just like to thank former Commissioners Munchak and Cordero for what they did for the county courthouse building. I know they got took a lot of flack for the trees that they took down, and were they really healthy or they weren't healthy, despite what Tony Santoli, Scranton's Forester said. But it is beautiful. It's worth the trip downtown just to ride around. I know there's not a lot to do except maybe on First Friday and other special occasions, but it's worth coming down and seeing the beauty of the courthouse square. And now moving on, I would like to ask that today you give us your plans for parking. You're planning to be in the former Globe store by the end of this year. And let me just give you a little bit background on why, because I'm concerned about safety. For instance, you'll notice lately that Lackawanna College discovered some voids underneath the building that they're working on at Adams and Mulberry. And immediately, like almost $500,000 appears out of nowhere. And we have citizens who can't get humongous holes in their backyard fixed. And I ask, you know, I park there a lot. And I ask, am I safe? Nobody on city council had known whether or not the city engineer went, or, you know, what the extent of these voids are. And I would like to know that the building's not going to come crashing down on my car. Likewise, I'd like to read you something. This goes back to when the city was leasing out its assets for parking assets. This is from the Desmond report, which was alleged at least due diligence report prior to the execution. It said the Electric City Garage, located at 106 Penn Avenue, is a freestanding 4-level structure originally built in the mid-1950s, with a 5-level horizontal expansion added in the mid-1990s. The original structure is located on the southern corner of Spruce Street and Penn Avenue, and the newer structure is located on the eastern corner or Lackawanna Avenue and Penn. Total parking within the facility is approximately 658 spaces. The structural system in the original structure utilizes a cast-in-place pan joist. Now, following that, this is what our Mayor Courtwright had to say about when that transaction was going on. Now, this is a quote. The Electric City Garage was less than zero, and then in paren, in value, because of all money
all the money, it needs to be repaired, Mr. Courtwright said. The city might have just torn it down if not for Mr. Basiliga, he said. You may recall Mr. Basiliga saved us by buying that entire garage for $1. And I found it interesting particularly when I found out that this company that did the due diligence report, Desmond, is a consultant for the company NDC that took over all of these assets. And I have real questions about that. But here is a description partial description of what is the matter with the Electric City Garage. Now, of course, the new portion, which was built in the 90s when Steamtown Mall was built, I think it actually has more than half. That is I found it interesting, and I have asked the local people. Nobody will tell you what the split was between what was brand new, practically, 1990s, and the part that was built in the 1950s. And whether or not that would have been torn down or whether the old part only would have been torn down, but I would like to know, are you people planning to put people into what was the former Globe Store parking lot, which is what is really the description of this dangerous place, and how much we're going to pay for what we're doing, and I hope you're not planning to use the new part, because, again, I spent 5 years behind a wheelchair, and I know what it is getting down to that building or going that far. And I'm really concerned about parking and whether it's going to cost people money to come down to their government center. I know there's no parking at the one up on Jefferson Avenue either, to speak of. But I would like to sit down and hear where people who are coming to their government center are going to park and what we are going to pay for it. And the other, may I just add one more thing? The city of Scranton also has committed to Mr. Basiliga to share some of the costs of repairing that building or that garage. So if you are planning, or you're having Mr. Basiliga, who owns that, or ABM, who manages it for him, if you are planning to have him do the repairs that were so tragic that it would have been torn down if they had not been done, if they're going to be done between now and December, have they started, or when will they start? When will they complete? And I have asked at least twice of the city where the $2.1 million that we have committed every time Mr. Basiliga or whoever he hires does a repair, we are going to match it. And that's $2.1 million. Now, are we going to have to put that out this year? I've asked where it is in the budget, and I get no answers. So I don't know what it's going to do Scranton if you're going to do have a major repair done on the old section of that garage. So I will take my seat and listen, and I hope it's complete and accurate. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Martina Soto, and I'm Head of Reference Services at the Scranton Public Library. And I'm going to talk today about our annual fundraiser. On Friday, May 25th from 5 to 8, we're going to be having our annual Swinging on Vine celebration. And this year is going to be celebrating our 125th anniversary. So we're especially excited. We're going to have live music by Picture Perfect. We're going to have local food, raffles. It's a 21 and older event because of the alcohol. It's $20 in advance or $25 at the door. And tickets are available at the Albright Memorial Library, the Nancy K. Holmes branch in Greenridge, or Library Express down at the Marketplace at Steamtown. And we're really excited. It's a big year for us, just when we reopened, and for our 125th anniversary party. So thank you.
No, I know.
Anyone else? Commissioner Cummings.
John, it's going to be a late lunch. Joan and Marie and Bob, thank you so much for coming in and asking your questions and keeping us on our toes. I appreciate it. The legal fees, I did get a copy of those. I did talk about those when was that, John, when we got the copy from Tom Durkin and the controllers worked on that for me, maybe in February, and I'll get a copy of that for you if you'd like me to, because they're kind of written out exactly where they went. Now, that doesn't include anything after that date, though, so you would have to, I think it was only the March payment that you would be adding on to that. Marie, I would love to know the answer to the parking situation myself. I feel your pain. The use of the pouch, do you know who gave that to you, who asked you, did you ask the supervisor about that, or did they give you a hard time?
Came forward when I engaged the person who was running the X-ray machine, that telling him where I was going and why, and that I've done it before, and then she just appeared from more down the family court in Camden.
Has anybody else had to hand over their cell phones besides Marie?
I did notice one other with the gentleman who were here with the armed
And Martina had one too. She just talked to you about the library. She had one.
They made Martina.
Yeah. She had one in her hand.
Chief of Staff Wallace, what are we going to do about this issue?
I think perhaps Solicitor Frederickson made a very good recommendation that we invite the sheriff to come to our next public meeting.
I would. Yeah, if he will show up.
Explain the policy.
He's been invited.
He implemented a policy, and we accepted it because he has jurisdiction over security in the buildings. But if there is some confusion on the policy and it's not being adhered to unilaterally, then perhaps we're going to have him come and explain the policy to us. I think he'd be more than willing to do that.
It doesn't matter,
Would that
because
be
the last time.
satisfactory, commissioners?
No, he needs to get rid of those stupid pouches. This is ridiculous already. Let him put a station in front of second floor or wherever the hearing courtrooms are. This is a waste of our time, efforts. It's an aggravating endeavor for the public. It's a violation of their rights. It's been well documented by the ACLU. It is an absolute violation of the public's rights. It's nonsense already. There's absolutely no reason for this. There's none whatsoever. And if he thinks, I've heard this story. Now, I don't know how true this is, but Chief of Staff Wallace, maybe you can answer this for me. Did the sheriff actually say that cell phones are turned into guns, mini guns?
He didn't actually say that, but there was a study done, and there was a potential and some drawings done that something like that could occur and it could be in danger. The sheriff did not say that a cell phone.
He said it to me. I don't know if he said it to you. He said he has pictures of them.
He didn't say it to me personally. There's a potential. There's all kind of things that could happen in our world today.
I understand that, but they do have an X-ray machine down there, don't they?
Yes, they do.
I think they would know the shape of a bullet, right? If it was in a phone. Something has to be done about this. This is ridiculous already. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I have no idea why we are torturing the public with this ridiculous policy. It's bad enough they have to. I'm surprised they don't make them take their shoes off at this point already. Anyway, yeah, something has to be done.
Andy, bring him in.
I'll be happy to do that if the commissioners. I'll ask the sheriff. I'm sure he'll comply.
Before I forget, during our budget hearing process, which just brings this right back from somewhere in the back ends of my brain from all the work that we do around here. Sheriff's office was supposed to go through a forensic audit. I had requested a forensic audit because of the fact that their overtime is completely out of control over there, and I'm requesting that again in the public hearing. And I want something done about those bags or pouches or whatever they call them. There's already precedent on this. There's legal precedent on this. As for Live Nation, I didn't know anything about this. I just saw pictures from Gary Gaville, and a notch from his picture, what he showed me, is a square this big that they cut out. There was one. And then the other picture, it looked like somebody took one of those where they grate the road and did one thing here and then a little V there and then stopped. That was all it was there. So I don't know why it was left like that. So I have no idea, but I will somehow fit it in my schedule today. I don't know, because I'm not getting done tonight until I think 10 o'clock. So, but I'll figure it out. Bob, as far as the vets are concerned, I mean, I applaud you coming in here and talking. I would never not want you to say what you feel, but I have to say that Commissioner O'Malley is probably the loudest and biggest supporter of our vets in the whole entire state, let alone county. So I would have to disagree with the assessment on that, because he goes above and beyond every single day to make sure that our vets are recognized, and I just don't feel that that's a legitimate complaint against him at all whatsoever. I mean, I recognize the vets, and I understand Commissioner Notarianni does as well, but I mean, honest to God, I'm surprised he doesn't have them, you know, in his basement if they don't have a home to live in, because he recognizes them, and that's something you cannot take away from Commissioner O'Malley. I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything we were talking about. Oh, Small Business Spotlight. What a great story. I mean, we always hear about how people start their business from their home, but yet here's another one from the kitchen. And, you know, I know we had a lot of bakers in here that have started from their kitchen, cookie makers, you know, cakes and all that. And God bless them, because, I mean, you know, that is not easy. You have to have a really good talent to be able to decorate those and make them look well and taste good. And, you know, not everybody's a cook or a chef. And, you know, I'm kind of jealous that she's in Scranton and not, you know, because you have all the good bakers up here. We don't have that many down. I'm trying to think of who's down in Old Forge. We got the pizza, yeah, but we don't have the pies and the cakes. This is really great. I mean, I'm going to have to stop there. Some of the things that she mentioned is, so I'd like to again thank my fellow commissioners for allowing me to do this, because every time somebody's in here, it just turns out to be such a great story. I just thank you so much for that. It really meant a lot to me to have that put in there. Thank you. There's so much to talk about, and that I want to talk about, and you know, I just don't know where to start. It's as though we get bombarded with all the stuff that's happening throughout the county that's just, you know, and you have, I don't know where to start. Let me just start with the opioids, okay? In the past 2 weeks, I've attended and met with numerous people regarding the opioid crisis, and I have been talking about this since 2012. I have been called everything from tinfoil hat and crazy because of the subject that I brought up in 2012, and it's true. It's true because of the fact that I said that this started at the government level with the big pharma, yeah. And I was made fun of, and I said I don't care. I've seen it. I've watched it. as a nurse, I've seen it with my patients. I've seen it with my friends. I had spoken with doctors. I met with doctors. Found out what the problem was. I've been talking about it with this pain as a fifth vital sign, and how they conned people through these marketing agendas. And it just never ceases to amaze me how the public continues to fall for the same marketing propaganda that we've been indulged with for years. I'm battling a smoking addiction of my own for how long now? How many months? I quit, I start, I quit, I start. It's horrible, horrible to be addicted to something. It truly is. I'm addicted to nicotine. And it's a difficult prospect to get over. I've seen addicts throughout my career. I've seen addictions in my family. I've been in the ER on multiple occasions with family members over this stuff. This isn't something that, I mean, this is why it's so near and dear to my heart. And, you know, it infuriates me, the fact that I've tried to educate people on how they marketed this stuff. First, let's talk about cigarettes, okay? How did they get women to smoke cigarettes? Joan, Marie, do you remember any of these advertisements where they had all the Hollywood Lucille Ball with the cigarettes?
Virginia Slims?
Yes, yes, the Virginia Slims. Yes, I do. I remember that as a young girl.
Because, you know, that the implication was it would help you keep your weight down.
Keep your weight down. Yes, and, you know, it's, yes. I am talking propaganda marketing, and it's a continual use of it, and we continue to fall for the same propaganda. Opioid crisis, they said even with the cigarettes, they talk about how our vets were the ones that were used overseas, and they brought them over here. And how did they get women to smoke them? Only the veterans and the men were smoking. So how do we get women? So that's where the women's campaign came in.
Everybody smoked in the military. But did you see in the paper the other day how for teenagers the vaping looks just like juice boxes?
I did. I'm getting to that. It's unbelievable. So then they propagandized the cigarettes with the women, and Hollywood, everybody in Hollywood smoking. Everybody. Lucille Ball, I watched the marketing stuff over the past 2 weeks to try and, make sure I had it correct on how they did this propaganda routine. And I don't know who they are. I mean, it's in Hollywood. Hollywood starts it, I guess, and it just continues with the marketing for these companies. But then we get to the opioid, and they used our vets again. Vets first. We aren't treating our vets for pain well enough, and that makes the VA come in and say, let's get pain as the fifth vital sign, so we do it. And here we are in 2017 with a huge crisis on our hands that we're spending billions of dollars on trying to fix. So how are they going to plan on fixing it? I can't even believe what I'm hearing in the news today, that they are going to plan to fix the opioid crisis with marijuana. Are you kidding me? I don't even understand how people can be this stupid to believe this crap. Are you kidding me? Let me just set the record straight right now. Marijuana has absolutely no studies done on it. There has been no studies done on marijuana to prove it does anything at all except for nausea and make you high. Okay? Even with seizure disorders, there's no medical studies done on it. None. Not one iota of studies. And that comes from two companies that I met with, my fellow commissioners. Well, they met with one of them with me. The other one was with the Chamber of Commerce. Not one study. So do not tell the American people that this is a fact when it is not. It's not. There has been no studies, just like there was no studies for the opioids to say that they were less addictive. None. They conned the American people, and it's a fact, and the lawsuits have been won on it. And that's a proven fact. Cigarettes, oh, they're good for you. They make you lose weight. Really? And now we're saying marijuana is good for you. Well, it's less, do less harm. If you're going to sell a drug on doing less harm to the American people, well, I mean, if that's what our society's come to, I don't know what to say anymore. I just don't know what to say. We have buildings going up on Kaiser Avenue. They're selling it. And I didn't even know it was going in. I didn't even know that this was happening. If they tried to put a methadone clinic there, there would be all hell, holy hell, breaking out. They put a place to sell pot on Kaiser Avenue. Come on, really? I don't even understand. And they have a ribbon cutting and invite me to it? I have been talking about addiction since 2012. And people want to bring this marijuana. They want to try and say that this is okay and they're going to implement it. I have a couple questions for the governor here on this stuff. So far, 2 companies are trying to be licensed here. There are 29 states. God bless us all. 29 states that are legalizing it. That includes PA, just so you're aware. It's amazing because I said, well, it's truly not legal. It's not a legal drug. So how are they getting it into Pennsylvania? How are they getting their product here? Well, the governor, in his infinite wisdom, has provided a 30-day window for them to illegally bring their drugs into our state, for crying out loud, so they can grow it here for these new distributors. Seriously. It's a federal crime. And if I did it, if I tried to carry drugs from Ohio to Pennsylvania, I'd be arrested. But they're allowing these distributing companies who are going to, grow this product in buildings in our county, they're giving them a 30-day window to bring them in here, and they won't get arrested. Cross the state line. John, how is that even legal?
It's a federal law, but they don't enforce it.
Who's they that don't enforce it? So what did the governor says to every police officer in the whole entire state? Do not arrest anyone for bringing illegal drugs across state lines?
You'd have a federal statute, you'd have a state statute. Some states are saying we don't consider that a crime, so you would not be prosecuted statewide, but you still could be prosecuted federally. But there's been a reluctance, although Sessions wants to do more, he wants to, but as it stands right now, they don't have time, effort, or resources to do marijuana busts, or unless they're major, they just don't do them because it'd be too many, and the states are allowing it.
These are the citizens of our county that we're talking about that are going to be
Similar with the sanctuary cities. You got a federal law, the states aren't allowing it. It's not
They're-
the same, but it's a similar idea.
John, they're licensed distributors, right? Distributors? They're licensed.
illegally, and by
They're
federal
licensed.
law, they're
We
illegal.
don't control any of this part. This is the federal government. We don't control this part. They're licensed distributors. A person just can't go buy marijuana and bring it in. They're licensed.
So we can let the governor tell our county that we have to provide, we have to put these places in
We
here.
have no legal, Mr. Frederickson, do we have any legal standing on this?
No, it was passed by the state legislature and signed by the governor, and it's state law.
It's the way it
don't
is.
control it. We don't
Yes, this
regulate
has nothing to do with, there's nothing that we can do.
It's correct, yeah, it is. Yeah. Technically, yeah, it is illegal under federal law to,
So wait, are you telling me the legislature voted to legalize this stuff? I thought it was done by the, Dr.
The governor doesn't
Levine.
have the authority to do that by himself, no. It's legislative. It was passed
Medical
by the-
marijuana.
It was passed by Dr. Richard Rachel Levine.
It was passed by the state legislature.
She's the one that came out and said it was okay to use. Nobody passed that. And when? When was it passed by
State law,
legislature?
This was voted.
Those
This
places
was
are
all
licensed
voted.
for the state. They're
Well, I know I won't be voting for any. Maybe we
Okay, there's
just
nothing
move.
that at county level we can do about this.
Passed by the state legislature and acted by the governor, yes.
It's ridiculous. So the public knows this stuff.
So basically, so we're saying is the Republican legislator and the senators voted this through. So basically,
Well, it's time to go
that's what I'm saying.
independent.
So
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Well, I don't know about that. I'll have to look into that. I'll have to see who voted for that. But what I do know is that we are illegally allowing, federally, we are allowing people to come here and violate federal law in our state. And it's for a drug use, to promote marijuana. And I'm just tired of hearing that this is something that's good for people, because it most certainly is not good for people. And then I hear, oh, well, it's better than alcohol. Really? Same difference. What's the difference?
Okay.
And now we have commercials on TV, or not commercials, I'm watching it on the news, where they're saying that women, now this was last night on the news, women, now this is just a guess by these people, whoever they were, are going to opt for marijuana as opposed to a glass of wine at the end of the day. Really? I wouldn't opt for either one, but I wouldn't. So, to the public, don't believe the crap you're seeing on TV, because you know what? That's all it is. It's a bunch of BS. And where are the parents, for crying out loud? Stop this nonsense. Do you want your kids smoking pot? I shouldn't ask you. It's my thing, not yours. Sorry.
I get it. It's licensed in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The county has no bearings on this.
Well, let me just say to the public, if it had bearings on me, I would have to say no way. I'm sorry. This is ridiculous. And what is going on in our world today, I just don't know. No wonder why boys don't know if they're girls and girls don't know if they're boys anymore. This is just crazy. I don't even know what to say anymore.
I have 5 friends that are diabetics, and they can't wait to have an opportunity.
It's not going to help them with their blood
try
sugar.
To stop themselves from having grand mal seizures. So, there's people that believe in it. But like I said, our government
There's
has
no studies done on it, Pat.
Our government does not have any control over it. It's licensed by the state, and
wait, diabetics have seizures because their sugar's out of control. It's not, marijuana's not going to help that fact.
Sorry, that's what a lot of them are applying for that option.
Is that what they're being told? They're being lied to by doctors about
I'm not going
that?
to talk about it because we have no control over this part.
I'm going to have to look into that because marijuana does not control your sugar intake. Actually, it'd probably make it higher because you starve to death on it and you have to eat. So they'd be eating more and have to increase their insulin. I can't imagine that it would help a diabetic.
The governor couldn't just push this through. This would have to be something to be voted. Okay.
Well, I mean, obviously I disagree with the governor, but that's just my point.
But it's not the governor. This would be the legislature and Senate, right? Okay.
Well, the governor had to sign it.
Yeah, but the majority is.
Oh, I can't wait to find out what Republicans did. Trust me, I can't wait. Anyway, so on I mean on another point with reassessment. There was some letters written in the local paper by John McGovern, wrote a really good letter in the local paper. And, of course, he was, immediately chastised by Scranton City Council. They just can't help themselves. So I'm just going to, in case somebody didn't read it, I'm going to read it. City's Tax Fairness Talk Empty. By John McGovern, guest columnist. Scranton's mayor and city council members claim they are seeking to make the tax structure fair and equitable through calls for a Lackawanna County reassessment. These claims are ridiculous and quite ironic, considering the city is fighting against the Act 511 tax case in court. In the case, a court has issued an order stating Act 511 denies Scranton the right to repeatedly levy and collect taxes in excess of its prescribed cap without taking further steps. So it is ironic that the same people expressing concern about a fair and equitable tax structure continue to pass budgets in violation of Act 511, continue to fight the tax case in court, and publicly claim that reassessment will solve the tax case. Additionally, they take advice from a financial consultant who was recently quoted in the Times Tribune as proposing a new payroll tax as well as a commuter tax. This advice not only further violates Act 511, but it doubles down on the unfair and inequitable tax structure city leaders have created. Scranton doesn't need any more Act 511 taxes. It needs fewer. If the mayor and members were concerned about fairness and equity, they would fix their Act 511 taxes before they started a fight over reassessment. If reassessment is about a fair and equitable tax structure, then what is the elimination or reduction of the city's wage tax, realty transfer tax, local services tax, amusement tax, business privilege and mercantile tax, parking tax, all of which are the highest in the county and are at or near the highest in the Commonwealth? Don't be fooled. The city's view of reassessment is not about a fair and equitable tax structure. It's about the continued current and future illegal taxation of not just its residents, but also the workers, businesses, visitors, and property owners. If the goal of reassessment is a fair and equitable tax structure and not future tax increases, Lackawanna County leaders should investigate the following solution. According to the State Tax Equalization Board, the county's current real estate assessment is roughly 15% of the actual fair market value of the real estate. Thornhurst Township has the highest assessment to market value rate of roughly 20%, while Elmhurst Township has the lowest rate of roughly 11%. Scranton has a rate of roughly 17%. The inequity is obvious. If reassessment was performed with a goal to maintain the current reassessment to market value rate of roughly 15%, the equity and fairness issues could be resolved while not giving local governments room to institute future property tax increases. I applaud his letter, and I wish I had written that, but it was very well written, and I appreciate the Scranton Times giving guest columns space. There was also, I'm not going to read these, but there was also 2 articles in Philly's new property assessments are out, and your tax bill is likely climbing, which is just the result of another reassessment done in the Philly area. And is it just the one letter, John, or is there...
There's 2 articles. One is in the, I think Philly is going through it right now.
Yeah.
They cite the number of sections in the city, and I believe it's about 50% went up.
40, yeah.
Yeah, the others, there's an article, the one lady's taxes.
Yeah, I
one
see.
block, I think they almost triple. The elderly seem to be getting grabbed or get hit.
Of course they are.
Yeah, more so than anybody.
Philly's home values spiked 10.5% in new property assessment. It's just a fact, and I don't know why anybody continues to argue that when it's a proven fact, and I just don't know what to say anymore about that, because every time there's an assessment done, it's proven time and time again that people are going to get slammed. And, I hear, well, that's because they weren't paying their fair share all along. Well, like I said, we've tried to implement things to try and change that, but, if the boroughs and cities want to change some of these, they have the ability to do it. They can have their school districts do, a study and see if there's a problem and come into our office and do a reverse appeal. That's all they have to do if they want to make it fair. But they don't want to do that because, they don't want to be bad guys in their neighborhood. They want to get reelected, I guess. So they won't do their job either. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay. Commissioner Terriani?
Oh, I've had more than enough.
Okay. It's like to answer some of Bob's one question.
It's a job.
We have a great director of Veterans Affairs. His name's Dave Isley. Before him was Bob Tuffy, great director. When Bob took over, I think our office was pulling in like $125,000 for benefits throughout Lackawanna County for our veterans. We bring in millions of dollars today. Our Veterans Affairs does a great job on behalf of our veterans. They're there for all options to try to get them down to the VA, anything that they can do to try to help them, from a gravestone to a check to whatever they're there for. We're always there to try to help our veterans. Our administration has always been. The parade, the Armed Forces Parade, Jimmy Reddington, these are things that we just promote. They aren't costing us anything. We really care about our veterans. We want to make sure that we have a large crowd downtown Scranton for Saturday, May 19th for the 11 o'clock step-off. Jimmy Reddington, his event, Joan hit upon it, 19 years old, charged the line because he thought a friend of his was shot and died. And his friends want to remember him. His family have passed away, and his medals are going to be brought to the courthouse, and that's going to be on Saturday, May 26th at 11 a.m., Lackawanna County Courthouse. It's going to be Jimmy Reddington in remembrance, and they're going to present the medals, and they're going to be showcased up at the Marine Corps League. That's where they're going to end up. But on Sunday, May 27th, there'll be a memorial service up at Jimmy Reddington's grave. That's at the Cathedral Cemetery at 11 a.m. They have this memorial every year. All of his friends come out. This year, it's going to be much larger. It's going to be a lot of people at it, remembering Jimmy Reddington and who he was and what he meant to the community. Parking. I just want to hit on parking real quick. County hasn't provided parking for the citizens of Lackawanna County. They just haven't. We have an accessible building for buses, for transportation to be able to come in and out. We're looking at other options to try to make it better for our citizens. Our current parking, which is paid for through either Children Youth Services or the administration, will go on for our fleet. And we're going to be looking for other options. There's nothing on the chalkboard exactly at this point, but it was something that was never, ever part of the ultimate situation that parking would be provided for everyone or for all of our workers. That would be something that would be unaffordable. We're going to have over between 500 and 675, 700 employees in this building. Couldn't afford to do parking for everyone. Currently, the people either they go to the parking, they park at the parking authority, or they walk into the city for parking spots outside the city. We're going to try to find more affordable options for them, and we're going to try to make it more conducive to them. Just bringing everybody into one building under one roof is a great opportunity for the citizens of Lackawanna County. And like I said, we're going to do our due diligence to try to make it better on the parking options itself. I just want to go over a couple of quick things. We're going to be having our fishing derby this coming Saturday, May 5th. Anyone that would like to be involved, they can call the Parks and Recreation Department at 963-6764. Age groups 4 to 8 will be at 11 a.m. Registration's at 10:20. Age groups 9 through 12 will be at 1:15. Registration will be from 12:30 on. Also on May 9th at 7 p.m., we're going to have a public hearing about our county fair. Anyone would like to come out and give their thoughts, their feelings on the public fair. It's going to be at Montage Ski Lodge, so please come on out if you're able to. May 19th, like I said, Armed Forces Parade steps off at 11 a.m. downtown Scranton. Please come down. to honor our veterans, be there, applaud them. I mean, we wouldn't be able to have these meetings, and we wouldn't be able to have the debates that we have these meetings if it wasn't for our servicemen and servicewomen. Also, we're going to be on May 24th, 1 to 5 p.m., Lackawanna County Job Fair, PNC Field, suite level. Please come on out. Full and part-time jobs. Be ready to take an interview. Some of these employees are going to be hiring people right on the spot. It's a great opportunity for anybody that's looking for a part-time job or a full-time job. And be ready for some success. We're hoping you come up, be dressed, and ready to do an interview. And last but absolutely not least, I'd like to, on behalf of the Board of Commissioners, I'd like to wish all of our mothers a happy and safe Mother's Day, and especially my mom above. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
We do have a salary board meeting immediately following this meeting, Commissioners. If you want to take a 5-minute break or no?
No, let's just get it over with.
Let's do it. Tracy has to